tight and rugged tackling by the Australian side. Good clearing kick that time by Tatana that bounces the wrong way. Going back for it is Gasnier, Australian captain coach. Swings it to Smith, looking towards Irvine's wing, but he's well put down. Good diving tackle that time by Christian. Goes from Greaves, Thompson, the headgear, running back the other way, gets rid of it too, finds Greaves, goes back the other way and finds, this time, little Gleeson going through, the Australian 5'8". They're just outside the New Zealand 25. Fitzsimmons feeding it to Raper. Greaves going for the line hard, he's got Irvine outside, if he can get a pass clear, but he's put down, plays it to Thompson, close to the New Zealand line. Smith, Gleeson. Langland's coming up from the full-back position. There's a gap coming up and he's going hard for the line, but put down about, no more than 1 yard short. New Zealand in a lot of trouble, but of course that was the fourth tackle against Australia. 3 yards out. He'll get up and play it to Australian halfback Billy Smith. Raper. Straight through the New Zealand forwards and play coming dangerously close now to the New Zealand 25. Kelly, the dummy half, getting it to Smith. Inside, loose ball, and going up for Tutty, who I think might have knocked it on, but no. Mr. Pearce says that's quite okay. Last tackle coming up for Australia. Raper to Thompson. Oh, good pass there to Gleeson, then Irvine. Irvine must go in for Australia, and Irvine puts it down beautifully about 5 yards to the right of the post. First blood to Australia, and after 2.5 minutes play in the first half, it's Australia 3, New Zealand 0. Simmons, lightweight Australian hooker from Queensland, has brought play about 7 yards inside the New Zealand half. Played away by Gallagher to Raper, to Gleeson. Finds a bit of a gap, but he's dived that. Over to Hannigan. Hannigan's got a perfect go for the line here. Tate dives at him, but he beats Tate effortlessly and dives in. And Hannigan's in for his first try ever for Australia. This is also his first Test match for Australia, and so in something like 15 minutes of play in his first Test match appearance for Australia, Les Hannigan, who last year played for a country side and this year came up to the Sydney Manly Warringah side. Tate ready. Could be 2 points in the air, dropping a little bit short, but it's not too bad, but it goes to the left of the posts. Bad luck, no points for that one, as the ball goes out to Smith, the Australian halfback, and he's got Greaves inside, Irvine outside, dummies. Bad move, I think, but gets it away beautifully there to Gleeson. Gleeson gets it back to Smith, tackled by Roger Tate, 6 yards inside the New Zealand half. It's all Australia. Raper, Tutty, number 9, flapping on the pace now, tries to go inside, gets it away beautifully to Gasnier. Hannigan again now, down the scoreboard, touchline flying, tries to go around Tate, no support, he'll be pushed into touch, and he is into touch about 10 yards. Going through it at this time is Danielson. Gets his pass away beautifully to Baker. Baker's down the touchline, but he's pushed into touch. Good diving tackle by Billy Smith. And that's in pretty well, and it's a New Zealand ball. Irvine clips a beautiful pass there to Woolwood, and then back over to winger Baker, who stumbled about 10 yards short of the halfway line. Irvine across that time to Castle, gets it away beautifully to Sunil, running very hard, gets a pass along the ground that's picked up eventually by O'Neill, and a lot of rough stuff going on at the moment with Kelly again in the forefront. New Zealand, though, still in possession. Castle going through with it, brings play just over the Australian halfway line, about 3 or 4 yards inside the Australian half. Tutty is marking Castle as he plays that ball. There's the kick by Danielson. It goes, and an intercept beautifully over there by Christian, and he must go in for a try for New Zealand. Oh, and puts it down magnificently. There's 3 points for New Zealand. And you saw that happening all the way as the kick from Danielson went up into the air over towards Hannigan's wing. Hannigan got underneath it all right, but he misjudged the drop of the ball, and New Zealand's Footballer of the Year last season, Roy Christian, came flying through and took it beautifully, Australian rules fashion. Been getting a little bit heavy, even though we've had only 30 minutes play in the first half. There's the kick by Langlands, took a bit of the turf with him, and it's gone badly to the left, picked up by Tate, the New Zealand fullback. You'll have to hurry. Thompson gets him and grounds him just outside his own line, almost grounded the ball in his own line. Goes back that time for a clearing kick for New Zealand. Could be danger. Goes this time to Gasnier. Gasnier's got Irvine outside him, and he goes for the line himself, and he must go in. And there's a magnificent try as only Rex Gasnier can score them for Australia. Beautiful anticipation. Irvine, number 2. Smith, Gleeson. Smith will back up. Now it goes the other way to Tutty, puts his head down and barges. He's playing a pretty good game first up in his first Test match for Australia to Kelly. Straight ahead. He takes a lot of stopping. Oh, an intercept there, and New Zealand has got it back, getting onto it is O'Neill. Getting it across field that time to Dixon. Well, he's passed away, but Australia has regained. Gleeson gets onto it, gets it to Greaves. Gasnier outside him, can't get his pass away. Flips it back the other way, finds Raper in the centre of the mud. Gets it there to Langlands. He's got Irvine outside him. Goes inside. Irvine still in support. Tries the short kick. Look at Irvine, number 2, racing for it. Tate gets onto it beautifully. Everybody's after him, and Gleeson finally gets him. Also Gallagher, and 12 yards inside the New Zealand half. Kelly to Raper. Gleeson. Greaves beats one tackle. He's still got Gasnier in support, but he's going on his own. Castle gets to him, couldn't quite get a pass away to Gasnier. Held on to it wisely so, and will play this one away as Australia's back line gets into motion again. Raper trying to go straight down the centre, flips a wild one over there to Gallagher, but he takes it well head high. Gets it to Langlands. Irvine outside him. Irvine's hemmed in there, taken by Baker. Tries to go inside, and he's still going, but eventually dragged down head on by Irvine and put down about 5 yards short. One of the New Zealanders hurt. Last tackle coming up for Australia. Goes to Kelly, who's knocked on. Time with Australia leading New Zealand 13 points to 7. A New Zealand ball goes to Tate. Must kick, surely. No, gets it away and tries to get his backs moving this time. Bailey gets it away beautifully here and finds White going through with it. There's the kick, everybody after it. Irvine in the foreground is racing for it, chased by Baker. Irvine will get to it first, picks it up, taken by Baker, and slammed down about 15 or 16 yards out from the Australian line. A bit running left to right. Mr. Pierce signals time on. Rubber kick goes to Gallagher for Australia, number 11. Tackled well by Castle. Put down midway between the Australian 25 and the halfway line. Plays it to Kelly, number 13. Goes behind Thompson, manages to go back and fall on it. Just outside his own 25. Playing it to Fitzsimmons. Tutty. Dumming, trying to go through, and he's almost clear, not quite. Eventually tackled there by Tatana. Plays it to Fitzsimmons. Smith. Dummy towards Kelly, gets it over here beautifully to Hannigan. He's hemmed in, he'll have to go infield, and there he goes. He's got Smith in support. Smith comes infield again, gets it to Gallagher. Where's the support? Get a low, goes behind Thompson, loose on the ground. Christian going for it, couldn't quite get to it. Picked up eventually by Kelly, Gleeson, Greaves, and he's got Irvine waiting for him over there, but back inside to Gasnier. Gasnier's flying, gets it back to Gleeson. Gleeson going for the line, he must go in for a try. Oh, what a magnificent try for Australia. Right across field, and a movement that started deep in the Australian half. Well, that's left a trail of New Zealand defenders lying right across the field, and even 7 apiece. Smith to feed the scrum for Australia. Scrum fairly steady, and it's an Australian ball. Smith juggling it, gets it though to Gleeson. Gasnier, got Greaves outside him, back to Gleeson. Greaves now, over towards Irvine. And Greaves has broken clear. Irvine is being held back there. The referee missed it, I think. It wouldn't have made much difference, I suppose, because Greaves is well covered, but Irvine was definitely held back. A bad piece of play by New Zealand. Greaves from the dummy half, trying to go on his own. Plays it to Irvine. Smith, Gleeson, Thompson. Around the edge of the ruck, running back over towards the wing. Gets it back to Greaves, then across to Irvine. A long one over there to Tutty. An Australian players are being held without the ball. Tutty now going straight down the centre of the field. Eventually tackled by Dixon. Will get up and play it on the New Zealand 25. Comes to Kelly. Gasnier, Langlands, Hannigan outside him. Well taken. Flips it back though inside to Gleeson, who's well covered. Won't go down with it. He's actually taken there by... And territorially it's been an Australian test. Let's forget the score. Gasnier has to let that one go. Beats Raper. Eventually picked up by Hannigan. Hannigan's about 15 yards inside his own half. Now into New Zealand territory. Beats one man, still going, and beats another man, but eventually brought down beautifully by Danielson, and they're about 35 yards out from the New Zealand line. Again, all Australia. Goes to Gleeson. Greaves outside him. Then he gets it beautifully to Langlands, and he's got Irvine outside him. Langlands going on his own, almost into touch. Gets it to Irvine over the line. Mr. Pierce, though, has said penalty. Forward pass there. Drop out coming up for New Zealand. There it goes from Elwood, a deep one. Langlands waiting for it, just inside or just outside his own 25. Might even kick from here. No, he decides to run. Goes beautifully inside Danielson, still going, gets it to Hannigan. Hannigan going for the corner, gets it back inside to Langlands. Langlands must go in and score for Australia over the line. Oh, what a beautiful piece of backing up by Graham Langlands, who got that ball, if you remember, just outside his own 25. Ran it up inside New Zealand territory, got a pass to Hannigan, who ran about 20 yards, and then backed up Hannigan, who threw the inside pass for Langlands to score. And so Australia now has gone further ahead and leads New Zealand 19 points to 7, with the attempted conversion to come, and again it will be Ken Irvine midway between the Australian 25 and the halfway line. Kelly, Gasnier. Tutty, almost a game of basketball. Tutty almost found the gap that time, not quite, and tackled from behind by Dixon, who followed him across. Gleeson to Thompson, Greaves, back to Thompson, Kelly, Gallagher straight down the centre, still looking for a gap. Smith this time, and here is the gap, and he's flying, looks for support. He's got Raper there, finds Johnny Raper, and he's got Irvine coming up in support. He's gone the wrong way, I think, but clips it over there. It's found Fitzsimmons along the ground, and dived on by Australia, comes out to Irvine. Irvine's going to fly for the corner, gets it into Hannigan. Mr. Pearce has blown his whistle anyway, and the knock-on has been called as the Australians, and apparently the Australians must be caught this time for playing it off the ground. The player was down. The crowd followed the player all the way through. It was a certain try for Australia, morally, let's say, but the rule had been breached further back, and so the penalty does go to New Zealand for the Australian player playing it off the ground. Tate has it for New Zealand, looking for touch on the member stand touchline. Taken by Hannigan. Gasnier going in field. Thompson, he'll probably back him up. A dummy by Thompson, straight down the centre, pushing off players, gets it beautifully there to Raper, going straight ahead, but put down by a wall of defenders about 11 yards short. He's going to play it to Gasnier. Smith outside him, and there's Smith, number 7. Then goes past Gleeson, picked up by Greaves. Greaves trying to step around the opposition, but put down well. Australia in an attacking position here could go in. Smith, Gasnier, Tutty, gets it on his fingertips. Langlands, and he's got Hannigan outside him, flying for the corner, and in he goes for a magnificent try in the corner. And Australia puts another 3 points on the board. Australia 22, New Zealand 7. The last try scored by Les from the Australian line. Playing the tap penalty is O'Neill. Goes across this time to Dixon. Straight ahead, and he'll go in. Oh, there's a beautiful try to Dixon, the New Zealand second rower. And New Zealand have saved a little bit of face in the dying minutes of this first test at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Took the Australian pack completely by surprise. And New Zealand now have gone it over towards the member stand touchline, a fairly short one that goes about 11 yards, no more. Goes across to Elwood, who can't do much with it, tries to get rid of a pass, but he's swung down. There's the full-time hooter in the background, and this first test between Australia and New Zealand at the Sydney Cricket Ground is all over, and Australia has run out the winners, 22 points to 13 over New Zealand. And for Australia, tries scored by Les Hannigan, who scored 2. Ken Irvine, Reg Gasnier, Johnny Gleeson, and Graham Langland. Oh, apparently we've all been taken by surprise. There's the full-time hooter. The hooter we heard before was something that resembled it. Caught Mr. Pearce by surprise too, apparently. He signalled that was the end of the game. Someone on the famous Sydney Cricket Ground hill blowing a trumpet, apparently, and took everybody by surprise. But it was so close to full-time it made no difference anyway. So quickly going back over the scores, Australia 22 has defeated New Zealand 13 in this first test, June 10, 1967 at the Sydney Cricket Ground. 2 tries scored for Australia by Les Hannigan, tries also scored by Graham Langlands, Ken Irvine, Reg Gasnier and Johnny Gleeson, and 2 goals